So, ever since finishing Project Kermit and getting the Land Rover back on the road, the spare wheel has just been rattling around loose in the back of the pickup bed. So today's enhancement is to sort it out a proper home. So on my old Land Rover, I had the spare wheel mounted on the bonnet, and that's very common, but I don't want to do it this time. I mean, for one, I don't have any mounting brackets on this bonnet, but for two, it makes the bonnet really heavy, although it does stop it rattling. And for three, the spare wheel, like I say, really heavy. I would much rather have it right at the back because I'm driving a pickup which is a bit light on the back axle anyway. I'll take this cover off and show you a few more options of where the spare wheel could be mounted. Incidentally, this cover would probably count as an enhancement as well, although it's not enough to make a video about on its own. This is just a bog standard 6 foot by 5 foot heavy duty tarp. Widthways, the tarp fitted quite well, but it wasn't quite long enough. So to get around that, all I did was take an offcut of plywood and it's bolted at the end and it's flexed over a bit of fence post. Simple as that. But it works really nicely as a tonneau cover. Anyway, here's the spare wheel. This is where it currently lives, and it's fine most of the time until I want to put anything in the bed here, and then it gets right in the way. So I have seen them mounted like that sometimes, but again, it intrudes into the bed space. And I have seen 109s of it mounted up here, but again, it's quite intrusive. So what I intend to do is to mount it here, but not on the tailgate. I'm going to cut down a Defender rear door and mount it on that. So my initial idea was to build a swing away wheel carrier, so a kind of framework that would sit around here, attach here and somewhere down here, and then that swings away with the wheel on it, and then you could drop the tailgate in the normal way. The trouble with that is you can't open it from the inside, which of course isn't an issue at all in its current configuration, but I do have a plan to build a camper back for this. More of an idea than a plan currently. And for that to work, I need a way to open it from the inside, but also I want it to open like this and get out of the way of getting in and out the back. One of the issues that people seem to have with mounting the spare wheel on the door itself rather than a separate carrier is that the hinges start to give way. So to get around that, I propose to make my own hinges, and while I'm at it, I'll make them lift off as well, so I can actually just take the door off and put the tailgate back on if I want to. That's the plan anyway. Right, let's go and see if I've got a door to act as a donor. Somewhere in here lies a Defender rear door. Now I've not seen it in years, I have no idea what the condition is, but we'll find out in a moment. Whatever it is, it's well buried. It looks alright this side. Let's get it to the workshop and have a proper look. So have you ever had that feeling where the reality of something doesn't quite live up to the memory that you had of it? Well, for years I thought I've got a Defender door in storage waiting just in case it's needed. And then when I drag it out, well, for one, I'm not convinced that this is a Defender spare wheel carrier. It looks a lot like a Discovery one. But more importantly here, this is a mess. There's almost nothing left of this in places. But also, the carrier has just been bodged on. It's not a factory fitment, so I'm sure there must be reinforcement to hold on, something like that. But there's just a bit of checker plate, and on this side it's just attached straight to the aluminium skin. anything's fixable, especially when it comes to Land Rovers, but this, yeah. Right, let's go back and see if there's any other options in there. This is a Series 3 door. Over here, this is Kermit's original rear door. Can't remember what condition it's in. Right, let's get both of these up to the workshop for a closer look. So we've got the original Defender door, which is pretty much scrap. This is Kermit's original door, which is in surprisingly good shape. Another Series 3 door, which is pretty ropey. And then this is a Defender door that I've just got from Mark, and it's in terrible condition, but it does have a proper wheel carrier, which confirms that that is not. If you're wondering what the sticker is, dip me in chocolate and throw me to the lesbians. So we now look at the same lineup but flipped over, and we've already looked at this one and it's horrible. This one, like I say, it's surprisingly good. So I think this is going to be our starting point now, not that one. The other Series 3, well, it's got this on it. I think we may be able to get some repair sections out of this if we need them, so that may be a good donor. And then the one that Mark gave me, some of the frame is just not there at all. So all that we're going to get from this one is that proper wheel carrier, which is you know, a massive bonus, so that is a good thing. And you can see it's sat on a proper reinforcement plate which sits in the frame, which I'm hoping is dimensionally similar to this frame here, and if it's not, then we'll make it so. So we're going to forget about that one, get this one into the workshop and start stripping it down. I'm going to take the glass out, and then I'm going to do just what me and Grandad do with Kermit's other doors, and that's peel off all the aluminium skin, extract the frame and take it from there. So I should be alright for peeling this off. Before I put it back on, I'll anneal the aluminium, otherwise when I'm hammering it back over onto the frame, it's liable to split. Yes, I can work with this. We have corrosion here, so this corner is going to have to be cut out and replaced. Obviously we don't need the holes for the hinges anymore, so I can just do a straightforward repair on that. Get rid of this bit. This is for the door stay. I've got a different plan to replace that. Next step is to work out where to cut it. I think the easiest way to do that is if I just bring the Land Rover in, we'll offer it up and make a decision. We have got some corrosion after all. I'll deal with that in a moment. So I think we're going to aim for this seam here. Yes, let's do that. Place it a bit from there. That's going to be... I did consider using this strip here, but you see how that slopes, so it's vertical there, slopes down this way and then that way. I don't need those features. What I want is for the skin to come folded round there, but then folded over there, put a capping over it. Basically I just need a bit of angle line. Yes. So I'm going to put steel angle line on the inside, it's my current plan, and then I'll put aluminium capping on the outside. So this is going to be useful for donating this section here. I think this will do. This is off the old telecoms truck. Can't even remember what it came from now. I think this will be perfect for the outside. I got it mostly blasted. As you can see, I managed to fit it into the blasting cabinet, but of course I didn't have much room to manoeuvre in there. I ended up having to finish off using a handheld blaster, which that's a horrible thing, that is. Yeah. Less said about that, the better. So of course blasting did show up a few more defects, as it always does. We've got a split in the metal there. That's easily fixed. And there's a few more holes have appeared. Again, not really a big deal. This is a cold galv treatment. It can be as good as hot dip galvanizing, where it's submerged into a bath of zinc. In this case it won't be, because I'm only going to be able to get inside of this section. Obviously I can't get inside all of these. So with this one I would prefer to have dipped it, but it's not, in my situation here, not terribly practical to send in one item. I'll put this to one side. And extract this, which I think is the only thing usable out of this whole door. Fair opportunity for the hole punch. While we wait for the paint to dry, start thinking about what to do about this, the door skin. So I'm going to need to get most of this paint off. And all this mess down here. First thing I'm going to do though is run this through a blowtorch to anneal the edges. So aluminium, as I'm sure most of you know, work hardens very quickly, very easily. So just by prying this open here, I suspect if I hammered it back over in its current state, it would just split all along there. So Heating it up and then letting it cool takes it back to a soft state. Then I'm going to have to probably sand this off. I'm not going to try and take out every last dent. You've seen Kermit. You know, the standard I go for is to get it looking straight, get the shapes back as they should be, and if it's got a bit of history in the bodywork, then that's fine by me. Next up, I'm going to coat it with some etch primer, and then once that's done, I'm going to coat it both sides, and then once that's done, fit this skin back onto the frame, and once that's done, we can start thinking about the hinges and the latch. Just fit in. I need to do now is do a fold on this. These shears are not ideal for this job because they're really for going around corners. But this edge won't be seen, so I'm not too worried. Not quicker than that. So I've got a lovely set of bench shears for going in a straight line, but I just haven't restored them yet. We're getting there. When the light catches it, you can see that. That's where all the filler was there. And there's a split in it. But there's soon be a wheel covering all of that, so I'm not really troubled. That's on, fitting quite well. Now we need to think about the latch. This one seems solid. Maybe the original one is the way it goes. So the trouble with these locks, and the reason I didn't fit this type of lock to Kermit, is that they just latch. It's just a simple thing like you'd have on a garden gate. Whereas the modern version of the anti-burst locks have got a two-stage mechanism. But both Defender doors that I've got completely seized lock mechanisms. I'd only be happy fitting that, because you can imagine that's it. That's all it's going to be holding back, not just the door, but the spare wheel on the door as well. It's not great. It might be acceptable if I put another bolt on the inside, but then that does make it needlessly complicated. Out of all of them, I like this. Well, I don't like it very much because it is seized up. But this is the mechanism that I've got on the other two doors, and it is a nice mechanism. It's the double latch thing that I'm after, and it's got the latch here as well, so you can lock it from the inside. But this is seized. Yeah, so all that's happened there is something's come loose inside. It's now jamming. That's happening, but that's not. I'm just going to put the locks to one side for now. Let's test fit the door against the Land Rover again and start having to think about hinges. That's not too bad a fit actually. So what I'm thinking here is we'll move this badge and then put a strip of steel, something fairly hefty, going all the way down there. Then a strip here and a strip here, something like that. What I want here is for a plate that spans both sides of that frame, that's this frame here. About 3 inches wide, and then I'll put 4 bolts on there in total, 2 there, 2 there, 4 there, attach into there. Might do. This is handrail, so it's D-section, I guess you call it. Might be a goer. Got a hefty lump of something here. Bit flat bar, which is 100 by 6-ish. And what I'm going to do is cut it at 75 so that it goes right over the inside of that support, and then it can go there. Another one there. Here's what I'm currently thinking then. This goes here, and this goes here, like we discussed. I'm going to cut some sections of this, put it in the lathe, drill it out in the middle, so it's 10.5 millimeters, which will be clearance for a 10mm bolt. Cut that off into chunks, something like that, and put one there and one there. And then on these plates, this is 20mm round, this is 20mm square. So I found this bit, and I'm going to put a bit there and a bit there, and on the ends of these drill it through with a 10mm hole, which will have a pin captive in it. Chumph. Roughly 46mm there. So it's got to come in and drop down. I am going to allow for some slight adjustment in the door. What I'm going to do is, the holes that I drill for those plates to mount, I'm going to drill them slightly oversized so that we've got a tiny bit of adjustment. Of course, we only need a tiny bit of adjustment because by the time you're adjusting something there, by the time it's out here, that's quite a lot of adjustment. That gap should be 7, so let's try this down. So we've got the 6, 7, 9, 10. So that wants to be 107mm long with a 10mm hole in it. Let's get a hole through this. I had intended to go through with a 10.5, but as this round bar is not very round, I've got a feeling it's going to be cutting slightly more than spec anyway, so I'm just going to go through with a 10 because I can always enlarge it. So 10mm. Good. Sorted. So that goes there and there. These are 9mm holes in the plate, 8mm holes in the door, and that just gives me a little bit wiggle room. $25mm, no, 25mm protruding, yeah, 25 plus 12. So I'll weld onto this one first, and then I can put pins through to get the alignment just right before this one welds to this one. That's the way to go. Now remember, I drilled these holes in both these parts and the barrels with no clearance. So they're going to be snug. And somehow it should drop in. Don't want to hit anything too hard because remember it's only tacked together. Okay, that's interesting. So I've got to do a bit of sanding here so that we've got a bit more clearance, or I could just grind, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Grind that and that. Oh, we were close, weren't we? Let's see if we got it this time. Now easy. The alignment's pretty good. I've pitched it fractionally up that way because obviously soon I'm going to have a wheel on here, a hefty wheel, and that'll pull that corner down, and I think it'll be exactly right. But as it is, I think you'll agree, that's quite convincing. Now of course this is the one thing my solar powered off-grid system cannot power. So let's fire up the lister. So while we wait for these bits to dry, we can fit these bits, the actual spare wheel bracket. We still need to sort out the lock, but I've got a new plan for that. I'll get to that in a moment. I've got 14 and 18 here in twist drills, but I'm not going to go right through the alley with this because it will tear it up. These will locate the centre of the hole. Then I'll use this, the step drill. Last thing to do before I can start properly painting the door is to fit a door lock. Before I can fit a door lock, I've got to decide which one to use. Now remember, this is the one that came with this door and functions, but I just don't trust it to hold the weight of a spare wheel. This is the later version, and this is the type that's on the doors of Kermit now, the anti-burst lock. It's a much nicer design, but this particular one doesn't work. And the replacements are expensive. The cheapest I found was about £36 for, and they seem to average about 50 quid. While I was trawling eBay looking for a replacement or a nice used one or whatever, I found a listing for a spring, a teeny weeny little spring, a repair kit basically. So it turns out that these locks are prone to breaking in a very small and specific way. There's a teeny weeny little spring just in here, part of this. That's the spring there. So I got this kit partly for that spring because I figured, well, this one's broken in some way. It's probably broken in that way too. But also it's got these little countersink rivets. This is the spring that always breaks, which of course on this one isn't broken. But I'll replace it anyway if that's a common failure point. So this sliding bit here is what enables this to flip out. And that's not wanting to slide. It just seems full of mud. What I don't want to do is to heat up the springs because they'll lose their temper and they won't really be springy anymore. So we need this back plate here to move that way, and then this shape on the actual catch can drop and that hook opens up. That bit's nice to do. Plenty of room there. That's supposed to slide. There you go, see that's moving. Time for the old engineering toothbrush. Here's where we are then. This plate I spent so much effort on is moving now, and that's the bit that's come out. That was just riveted in, but I can't get it back in there. I'm going to have to weld that into position, which is doable, but now I've got to get these rivets out to get this back plate out. So I'm hoping is to use the oxypropane torch, heat this side, just this dot here, and then pull it out from this side, and then I might even be able to put it back. This whole thing's sort of WD-40 now, so we might see flames. Well, that's loosened it. Well, now at least we can clean up inside it, so that's something. Challenging bit then will be to get those rivets reinstated somehow. Put this back like that. So we need a rivet there and a rivet there. I think we'll rest the rivet on that. That's it's not as neat as a rivet, but it'll work. Motorbike chain lubricant. I think it'd probably be better bet than grease. So that's unlatched, and then when you push the door closed, it catches the striker, double click in, and then when you lift the handle, pushes on this one, pop, pop. There we go, and then when the door closes again, 1, 2. Having to completely dismantle it then was a massive ball ache, but it did mean that we could clean the back of that plate, which has made the actual function really nice. Yeah, there we go. So that goes in like that. These are Land Rover lock barrels. These are mostly series, but that one, that's what we're after. I think that's the one that went with the other two that are actually on Kermit. There we go. We might be there. Cool. Fixed it. Super duper. So now with the lock well and truly resurrected, we need to work out a way to fit it to the door. One of the big differences, of course, is the lock barrel is in a different location. So you see on the series one, on this lock, it's about there, but on this one, on this Defender one, I'm going to have to drill a hole about there for it to go. I can mount that there, so I can bolt it straight onto this nice hefty bit of angle on the top side. Bottom side there, I'm going to have to make some kind of mounting plate for it. There, all the holes line up. I'm happy with that, that's looking really good. The last thing to do is to get a striker to go on the bodywork of the truck itself, and something like this, I mean it's just a 12mm bolt, so that's when you close the door it goes like that, makes that happen. Might even use a 12mm bolt. Of course there is a proper striker for this, but I don't have one, so we'll make something up. But to do that, I need to fit the door and get it working properly again, which means fitting the hinges, so I'm not going to do that just yet. What I'm going to do is take the lock off, take this off, take this plate off, and clean up the door and spray that with its undercoat, and then tomorrow I'll top coat this side, the inside. This plate I shall run through the blasting cabinet and zinger, and might even put a bit of paint on the lock. That's it, final top coat, and the paint's all dry now. The last bit of work is to make a striker for the lock mechanism, And to do that, I'm going to have to fit the hinges and put the lock in there and offer it up to the truck. So we'll do that now. I did have the foresight to mark the hinges so they can go back where they came from, so this shouldn't be arduous. So what we're going to go for. Will it latch if I slam it? It does. Rather scary too. Here's my trim piece. So this is part of the old telecoms truck. It's absolutely battered, but I quite like it. So I'm not even going to paint it. I'm going to mount that on like that. See how many holes we can cover up. This bolt is slightly longer to allow a nylock to go on there, just for a peace of mind, let's call it. It's looking good. I think we're pretty much at a point where we can test it with the actual spare wheel. There is one last thing to do, and that's these nuts. These are normal wheel nuts, but these ones, these set the depth on here. Now we can try the spare wheel. I think there'd be a bit more room to get the latch from the outside. Of course, with this I can reach over and do it. Just enough to do it. A bit snug though. That's quite good. That sits on there. Doesn't actually touch the door. You know what though? I need to smarten up the spare wheel now, don't I? Let's see how it looks with the tonneau cover on as well. That looks quite intentional, I think. So to open now, undo that corner. That's actually easier than the tailgate. Now the thing is, do I need a stop? Or am I going to break the lights? So currently, if I open that in a howling gale, I'd probably lose the indicator. Yeah, so it's the indicator that's the point of contact. I do have this, which is the door stay from Discovery, from Discovery 1. And I may fit this, but you know what, that's a job for another day. All in all, I'm very happy with the way that turned out. It's a much stronger door than it used to be. I'm happy with those hinges. They're a definite improvement. Well, I like the way it looks, and I've saved so much room in the back. It's also put some weight over the back wheels, which is sorely needed on a pickup. The only downside I can see, at least so far, is that it's going to restrict my rear view, just the middle of my rear view, if I'm towing a trailer, for instance. But in that situation, if it bothers me, I can always just take it off and put the tailgate back on. Now, I should mention that, of course, you can just buy a kit you can buy a half rear door kit. But they're not cheap. The ones I was looking at were 250, 350 quid. and you've got to put it together yourself. This cost me, what did it cost me? £4.60 something for that repair kit for the lock, which I didn't actually need. I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm pretty sure that's all the money I spent on this project. A lot of time though, a lot of time. I will admit that. But in the end, it's something I'm very happy with. I think it's going to be a big improvement, a big practical improvement, well, certainly for space in the back here. So in engineering terms, I think it's a success as well. I think this is a more elegant solution than having a separate swing-away wheel carrier. And it's a stronger solution than having this just bolted onto the door in a normal manner. The weak point when you're doing that is the factory hinges. And I think my homemade hinges here are more than up to the job. I'm jolly happy with the way that little project turned out. I hope you've enjoyed this enhancement of Kermit. I've got plenty more in mind, ranging from side impact bars to central locking. So stick around for those. But cheers for now.